First up here, I'm proud to have David Eves, our President and CEO of Public Service Company of Colorado, with us this morning. David's going to say a few words on energy efficiency, as well as discuss a few hot topics in the utility industry today, and he'll leave a few minutes for questions for you folks, and then we'll jump into our first presenter on LED technologies. So please join me in welcoming David Eves, our President and CEO.
I want to thank you for being here. I want to welcome you. Thank you for your work that you do in your companies to implement energy efficiency, to partner with us. This is one thing that we do that we can't do on our own. We're very dependent in partnering with our customers to do the right thing. And one of the slogans that you often hear around our company is the best megawatt hour, or the best kilowatt hour is the kilowatt hour that's never needed in the first place. So it's the work that you do that helps us accomplish that together. In 2013, we saved 356 together. We saved 356 gigawatt hours. So that's 356 million kilowatt hours per year of improvements that you all put in. What I'm excited about is that almost half of that, almost 170 million kilowatt hours, was accomplished through working with our large customers, our key accounts. So our account management team and marketing team that work with you have done that. That's pretty amazing. Collectively, since 2006, we together have avoided the need for 3 mid-sized power plants. That's 3 250 megawatt power plants, roughly equivalent to the size of our largest Colorado plant, the Comanche 3 station that went online in 2010. So as we look forward at what the future looks like, look in the crystal ball. Clearly we see lower alternative resource costs, lower wind costs, lower solar, actually lower gas-fired power plant costs. We also see much lower natural gas prices than we experienced in the past. You're in the energy business, you all understand that and see that side of the equation. Those things are going to put pressure on our DSM programs, on our efficiency programs. We're also seeing on the other side of the equation higher baseline efficiency standards that make the opportunities that we can pursue together more difficult, more expensive to get the next kilowatt hour of savings. So those two things are going to put pressure on us. But I can tell you with that backdrop, we're committed to continue to work with you. We're committed to continuing to try to evolve our programs and make sure that we are, without creating too much rate impact on our non-participating customers, continue to be aggressive with energy efficiency and demand control. So again, I want to thank you for your partnership, for your work with us. And later this morning, we're going to recognize some of the great achievements that have been accomplished by some of you. What I'd like to do is just take a couple of minutes and cover some other issues that are probably of interest to you, that are really important to me and our company. I want to talk about our resource plan. We do electric resource planning on a 4-year cycle here in Colorado. So our last plan was filed in 2011. It kind of completed up and wrapped up at the end of 2013. You know, we went into that plan with a lot of focus around 2 objectives. One, we had met all of our renewable energy standards or had plans in place to meet them. And what we wanted to do was set up the opportunity to try to acquire competitive, low-cost renewable energy if we could get the right kind of projects. Not necessarily to add renewable energy to meet higher future standards, maybe at a higher cost to our customers, but to be opportunistic about it. The second thing we wanted to do was make sure that we could take advantage of the competitive situation that had developed in the West and try to reduce our power plant fixed costs. We buy about 40% of the gas-fired capacity that serves our customers, and we wanted to create a good competitive situation so that people that previously sold power to us were competing back and bidding back at very low prices. We were successful on both of those fronts. So the result of this plan is that we contracted for a little over 300 megawatts of new long-term gas-fired capacity. We provide the fuel and toll the fuel through it. They operate the plants for us. The price of those is like a third less than what we previously paid for the same power plants. So that's going to show up in the form of lower costs in the future. We also were successful adding 450 megawatts of new wind power. Now, wind power, you can't hear? Okay, is this a little better? Okay, I'm going to start over. No. For everyone in the back, I apologize. Thank you, Doug, for helping me out. So the resource plan, over 300 megawatts of new low-cost gas-fired capacity, 450 megawatts of wind energy that will be built in eastern Colorado and east of Colorado Springs. Just to put this in perspective, the energy over the 25-year contracts from that 450 megawatts is equivalent to the company entering into a gas price hedge, because it's kind of an energy substitute. It's equivalent to a gas price hedge over 25 years of $4.35 a decatherm. Now, how many of you think you could lock in $4.35 a decatherm for 25 years? I don't think so. So we're really excited. The expression around the company was, back the truck up, let's get as much of this as we can. But it's going to be a great resource for our system going forward. Maybe most exciting is the 170 megawatts of new utility scale solar that will be built in the next couple of years, taking advantage of the investment tax credit. So 170 megawatts, utility scale, single axis tracking. This is coming in at roughly half or maybe close to a third the cost of rooftop solar. So it's very exciting to see this happening. This is the first time, remember I told you we're trying to be opportunistic about this and acquire it if it was cost competitive for our customers? It was. This beat out some of the other gas-fired generation that's already on the ground that we could have recontracted with. So I think it's a wonderful outcome. Anybody read the Denver Post article today about that solar? Okay. Well, take a look at it if you haven't seen it already. And I'll come back and talk about net metering and rooftop solar versus community solar versus utility solar in just a minute. But let me tell you about the rest of the resource plan. We're also planning to convert the Cherokee 4 plant. If you look on the north side of Denver in Adams County, it's our biggest old power plant in the Denver area. And the red stripe stack, the tallest one, is Cherokee 4, which is a 350 megawatt unit. We'll convert it from coal to gas at the end of 2017. There's a lot of other things that have been happening over the last 2 or 3 years along our Clean Air, Clean Jobs plan. We retired the Cameo 1 and 2 units in 2010. Those are out by Grand Junction. We retired Arapahoe 3. At the end of last year, we retired the 100 megawatt Arapahoe 4 unit. This is down in South Denver. We already retired and demolished Cherokee 1 and 2, so the first 2 units that were built at that Cherokee station. The combined cycle power plant, we got a $550 million gas-fired, really efficient combined cycle power plant that's being built right now. It will come online and start operating in 2015. We started construction last week on a $110 million pipeline that will bring gas to that Cherokee plant. We have emission control projects, about $450 million worth of emission control projects that are underway at Pawnee, and we'll get ready to start later this year on Hayden, which is on the west slope. At the end of 2015, after that gas-fired combined cycle plant is online at Cherokee, we'll shut down Cherokee 3, which is a 150 megawatt unit. And then at the end of 2017, we'll retire the 200 megawatt plant, coal-fired plant in Boulder, the Valmont station, and we'll make that last conversion of the Cherokee plant to a gas-fired peaking plant. So it's a pretty amazing set of things. At the end of the day, in early 2016, we will have invested about a little over $1 billion, about $1.03 billion in all of this work. We'll reduce emissions by 70 to 80% if you look at SO2, NOx, mercury. We're going to make 70 to 80% reductions in emissions at all these affected plants. Our carbon dioxide emissions, and this is a combination of the wind, the solar, these conversions, everything else, your efforts, frankly, with energy efficiency. Starting at 2005, looking ahead to 2020, we will have reduced CO2 emissions by 35%. I think that's amazing. The current administration in Washington, the goal is 17%, I think, and we're well on our way to almost double that. And I'm sure that there's more to come. We'll be doing another resource plan in 2 years. So a pretty amazing set of things. By 2020, our energy mix will be 29% renewable energy, okay? And you think about it, we started out with a 10% standard, a 20% standard, a 30% standard. Those had in-state multipliers. Set aside the in-state multiplier, we're approaching 30% by 2020 of renewable energy. So it's pretty exciting, and I think that for the environment, for our future, we've insulated ourselves from a lot of EPA regulatory risks that will be coming down the pipeline for other utilities and industries, and I think we're just very well positioned. However, now the other side of the story, somebody's got to pay for that. So we've invested a lot of money and done a lot of this work. We anticipate that we will be filing a rate case later this year that will begin to collect. We've deferred and insulated our customers from any of the rate impacts from these investments that I've been describing through the end of 2014. And we had a multiple year rate plan that's been in effect from mid-2012 until the end of this year. So as we look forward, we're working on a new plan for rates 2015, 16, 17. And when I look at the cumulative effect of all these investments, the other work that we're doing, the work on the grid, the investment in the distribution system, our aging infrastructure, add it all up, we think that we're looking at base rate impacts somewhere in the 8 to 9%. That's cumulative over the 3 years. So by 2017 versus 14. And overall bill impact probably in the 4 to 5% cumulative impact. So maybe something like 2.5, 2.5, and flat. So don't put that in your budgets yet. There's more to come. We're still working on all of our cost of service work and everything. But frankly, that's about what it looks like. Let me touch real quick on solar. We will see over the next year a lot of controversy over net metering and the different types of solar that should be installed and the amounts of each that should be added. This is something that's happening around the entire country, and I just want to tell you that our company is very much engaged in and supportive of renewable energy, including solar energy. We're not going to be in a position of trying to push back on it, trying to resist it. It is going to be the future. These two large projects, the increased solar community gardens that are going in, they're good examples of what our future holds. And we're anticipating trying to create more options for our customers to maybe subscribe to those kind of lower cost projects instead of having to just put solar on your own property. Net metering is something that is a really important issue that will be addressed throughout the country. And I think Colorado is probably one of the 2 or 3 states where it will be most actively debated. We filed to make a change in that in our renewable plan last year, and it's been deferred, and probably later this year we'll come back and we'll start a new proceeding. So the one thing I'd like to leave you with is that there clearly is a huge cost difference between large economy of scale solar, single axis tracking, and the flat plate stuff that we put on our roofs. We're still going to embrace that, but we need to get the pricing right. We need to make sure that we're not paying too much and that our other customers are cross-subsidizing that kind of higher cost solar. It'll always be an option, always something that we want to move forward with and support. But the question is how much of which type of solar. At the end of the day, I look down the row. Today we have about 1.5% of our customers that have solar behind the meter. A lot of them are demand metered large customers, and the amount of incentive that's built into that is relatively small. But customers that pay an energy only rate, the incentive is really high. And we need to understand that and quantify it. So as I look down the row at the end of the day, our 1.5% today, someday will be 50%. We may have 40, 50% of our customers with solar. And if it's this half of the room, I just want to make sure that this half of the room is not paying for all the grid. So we need to work on that and get the pricing right. And this will happen over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, and probably be ongoing. So I think I used up all my time. Do I? I got permission to take a question or two. Are there any? Everybody's with me on the net metering incentive? No. If you have questions about that, I encourage you to talk to your account manager, somebody on the marketing team. They'll put you in touch with me, with Bill, with somebody here, and we're glad to talk through that. It takes a little bit of time to go through it, but if there aren't any questions, I really want to thank you for what you do. Of all the things that we do in the company, the two things I'm most proud of are our involvement, the involvement of our employees in the community, and how much they give back to the community. And the second thing is the partnership with the customers on energy efficiency. When I look out and can see that we'd be growing about 1.5% a year, but with your good work, we can eliminate about 2/3 of that and barely grow the need for new energy production, I think it's a fantastic accomplishment. So that can't happen without each and every one of you. And congratulations, premature congratulations to all the award winners later this morning. Thank you.